See, in the ninth class of nuclear physics, let us study particle accelerators. High energetic particles are necessary for nuclear investigations and also to produce transuranic elements. That means the energies of the particles should be increased. They are increased by the machines known as accelerators. Then accelerators are of two types. One is linear accelerator, another one is cyclic accelerator. Depending upon the path along which the charged particle travels, such as alpha particle, proton, neutron, electron, their energy should be increased. If you are increasing the energy of such particles linearly, that is called as a linear accelerator. If it is accelerated along the circular path, it is called as a cyclic accelerator. Then first let us study what is this linear accelerator. Positive ion is allowed to enter through this aperture A. It travels along the coaxial path of these coaxial cylinders. So instrument is provided with 1, 2, 3, 4 cylinders. They are coaxial and enclosed in an evacuated chamber, and these electrodes are connected to radio frequency oscillators. So the polarity of these electrodes, if 1 and 3 are connected to the positive potential in the first half, at that instant 2 and 4 are connected to the negative potential. So first half cycle. And when it reverses, the polarity of these electrodes also reverses. For example, from this end to this end, 1 and 3 are connected to the positive potential. At the same time, these 2 and 4 are connected to the negative potential. And if it changes the polarity in the half period, then 1 and 3 becomes negative potential, then 2 and 4 becomes positive potential. Then as the positive ion enters the aperture A, this 1 and 3 are connected to the negative potential by this RFO during the first half. So if they are negative, the positive ion is attracted, means it is accelerated. So in the tube between these electrodes, the ion travels with constant velocity from this end to this end. Again, by the time this positive ion reaches the end, suddenly this becomes 2 and 4 becomes negative, and in this gap once again ion is accelerated. Like this successively in the gap between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, ion gets accelerated because they are connected to the radio frequency oscillator. Then if V1 is the velocity of the ion in the first electrode or cylindrical tube, that cylindrical tube electrodes are also called as drift tubes. These are also called as drift tubes. If V1 is the velocity of that positive ion in the drift tube and E is the charge on that ion, V is the potential difference, then energy of the ion in the first tube, half mv1 square is equal to E into V, where V1 is the velocity, m is the mass of that positive ion, and E is the charge, V is the potential difference. Then from this your V1 square is equal to V1 square is equal to 2 EV upon m, or this is V1 is equal to square root of 2 EV upon m. Call this equation as 1. And down, this ion is in the gap between 1 and 2, gets accelerated, the potential changes. Now here, in the second tube, it is half mv2 square is equal to 2 E into V. So remember that the velocity of the ion is very much less than velocity of the light. 2 EV because the potential in doubles. Then here V2 square is equal to, this is 2 into 2 EV upon m. Then this V2 is equal to square root of 2 times square root of 2 EV upon m, or this is V2 is equal to square root of 2 EV upon m is, it is V1, this is V1. Call this equation as 2. Then what is the length of this drift tube? We know that if L1 is the distance traveled in time t, where velocity is v1, we know that velocity is equal to distance upon time, or this is v1 is equal to L1, or this is T is equal to L1 by V1. Call this equation as 3. That means L1 is equal to V1 into T. Similarly, if it travels in the second tube, it is L2 is equal to, they travel inside the tube with the same velocity. L2 is equal to, this is T into V2. L2 is equal to T into V2. Then L2 is equal to, so what is your T? T is L1 upon V1. What is V2? V2 is square root of 2 into V1. Then this V1 get cancels. L2 is equal to square root of 2 L1. Similarly, we can show that your L3 is equal to square root of 3 L1, and L4 is equal to square root of 4 into L1. If you take the ratio of this L1 raised to L2 raised to L3, etc., you will going to get this as 1 raised to square root of 2 raised to square root of 3, etc. So length, they are not of same length, they are of different lengths, because at each stage the particle is accelerated, but it takes the same time to travel inside the tube with the same velocity. Therefore, we have shown that this ratios of the length of the tube is 1:2:3. Now we have to obtain the resonance condition. We know that ions accelerated by this linear accelerator traverse with a gradual increase in the velocity through this drift tubes. Therefore, the length of this successive drift tubes must be increased to obtain the resonance condition. What is that resonance condition? The time taken by the ion to traverse through drift tube at any stage must be equal to half of the time period t of the radio frequency accelerating voltage. Means, so time should be equal to half of the time period t of the radio frequency accelerating voltage, that is 1 upon 2f. Then if Ln is the length of the last tube in which the ion is traveling with the velocity Vn, we have this time is equal to, we can write this as Ln upon Vn, or this is your Vn is equal to 2f Ln. So this is the velocity of the ion in the last tube. You know that successively, gradually, the velocity of the ion increases in successive drift tubes. Therefore, it has to travel with in the same time. The length of the drift tube must be increased gradually. How long? To attain the maximum velocity. That is called as a resonance condition. What is that resonance condition? The time taken by the ion to travel through the drift tube at any stage must be equal to half of the time period t of this radio frequency accelerating voltage. So time is equal to t by 2. You know that t is 1 upon f. So this time is distance upon velocity, or Vn is equal to 2f ln. Call this equation as 1. If V is the average potential drop for an ion in passing all the tubes, taking a non-relativistic energy equation, we can write, if V is the potential drop, this is C plus NeV is equal to half m Vn square. Call this equation as 2, where C is constant and is put to take into account the finite injection energy and the fact that the first gap has only half of the accelerating potential V. If oscillator is balanced with respect to the ground using equation 1, we can write this C is C plus NeV is equal to half m. For Vn, it is 4f square ln square. This is for Vn square. So from this, your ln square is equal to, this is 2 C plus NeV upon, this is 4 m f square. Then this 2 with 4. This is your ln is equal to square root of C plus NeV upon, this is 2 m f square. Take that f square outside. Ln is equal to 1 upon f into square root of C plus NeV upon 2m. But you know that C is equal to f lambda. So f is equal to C by lambda. If you substitute for f and take C inside, your ln is equal to lambda into square root of C plus NeV upon 2m C square. Call this equation as 3. So all these are constant. From this it is clear that Ln is directly proportional to wavelength of the radio frequency oscillator. That means the length of each section and hence the total length is directly proportional to the wavelength of the radio frequency oscillator. Now lastly, what is the energy of the ion on reaching the target? That is energy, or you have to find expression for velocity, because half Vn square is the velocity. If n is the number of gaps in the linear harmonic oscillator, Then we have C plus NeV is equal to half m Vn square. From this, your Vn square is equal to 2 C plus NeV upon m. Call this equation as 3. Or your Vn is square root of 2 C plus NeV divided by m. What is this C here? C is a constant which depends on the injection energy. Energy at the beginning brought by this ion. If there is no injection energy, then we have your Vn is equal to C is 0. Take this n outside and inside the square root 2EV divided by m. So call this equation as 4. That means velocity of the ion in the nth tube is directly proportional to square root of number of gaps. Means energy depends on the number of gaps in the linear harmonic oscillator. Also, energy gained by the ion in each gaps. The beam on striking this target consists of pulses of particles. The number of these pulses per second is equal to the frequency of this radio frequency oscillator. This linear accelerator has got certain limits. There are some limits. The first one is the length of the linear accelerator is very much inconveniently large. It is very much difficult to maintain a vacuum in this large chamber. Then second limitation is the ion current is available in the form of short interval impulses because the ions are injected at an appropriate moment. These are the two limitations of this linear accelerator. First one is the length of the linear accelerator is inconveniently large. It is very much difficult to maintain vacuum in this large chamber. Then second one is the ion current is available in the form of short interval pulses because the ions are injected at an appropriate moment. Next accelerator we have to study is cyclotron. As the name itself indicates, the ions are accelerated along the circular path. This cyclotron was devised by Lorentz and Livingston. So where ions are accelerated along the circular path with the repeated application of alternating potential. So this cyclotron consists of semicircular metal box with the gap between them. So in the gap exactly at the center, ion source is placed. These semicircular metal boxes are called as Ds. So this upper one is D1, the name is D, and another one is D2. These D's are connected to a high frequency radio frequency oscillator. With the help of this, a very high potential of the order of million volts can be achieved, and this entire system is placed in strong electromagnet. One is S, south pole of the magnet, another one is north pole of the magnet. So their plane of the D's, they are flat, semicircular, their plane should be perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. So the main intention is to make the ion to go along the circular path. As soon as this ion is ejected from the source, then the frequency of this RF will adjust in such a way that this D1 is negative and D2 is positive. Since this is a positive ion, if this becomes negative, suddenly it is accelerated towards D1. Since there is a magnetic field applied perpendicular to this, it goes along the circular path. We know that if a charged particle is placed in the magnetic field, it goes along the circular path. Then, as inside the D1 it travels along the circular path, comes at the end, comes away from the D1, suddenly their polarities are reversed. This becomes negative and this becomes positive. This continues till the ion reaches the periphery, means the last circle, and it is directed towards the target. That means ion has got maximum energy. So this is regarding the construction of this cyclotron. Now this cyclotron to work, the semi-periodic time, that is T by 2 of this applied potential difference must be equal to the time taken by the ion in describing this semicircular path. That means within that T by 2, this ion should go from this point to this point. That is what semi-periodic time of the applied potential difference should be equal to the time taken by the ion to describe circular path or in turning through an angle pi. Therefore, this is pi upon omega. Call this equation as 1. Now, since the magnetic field is applied, the ion goes along the circular path. Therefore, centripetal force acts on this. That centripetal force acting on the ion is given by F is equal to mv square upon r. Call this equation as 2. Then ion is a charged particle. It experiences a force. The force experienced by charged particle in the magnetic field is given by F is equal to Q V B. All this equation as 3. Here R is the radius, M is the mass, V is the velocity. Then Q is a charge on the ion which is placed in the magnetic field. It is moving with the velocity V. So from this 2 and 3, we can write this as Q V B is equal to mv square upon r. Then v cancels. That is v is equal to qbr upon m. Also you know that v is equal to r omega. So if you write this as v is equal to r omega, it is qbr upon m. So r cancels. Your omega is equal to qb upon m. Call this equation as 4. Then if you substitute this in equation 1, it is t by 2 is equal to pi it is m upon qb, or this is t is equal to 2 pi m upon qb. Call this equation as 5. Now the frequency of the applied potential difference is n is equal to 1 upon t. So or this is qb upon 2 pi m. Call this equation as 6. When ion describes the last radius before it comes out from the cyclotron, if r is the radius described by the cycle, then v maximum is the velocity. It attains the maximum velocity here. Then total distance traveled is equal to 2 pi r. You know, time is distance upon velocity. So this time is distance is 2 pi r upon v maximum velocity. This is equal to 2 pi m upon qb. Then this 2 pi get cancels. Then what is this v maximum? V maximum is equal to qbr upon m. This is your equation 7. It is the maximum velocity. Then lastly, what is its kinetic energy when it comes out and hits the target? You know, this kinetic energy is given by half m v max square, half m square, or this is half m q square b square r square divided by m square, or this is maximum kinetic energy is equal to m gets cancels. This is q square b square r square upon 2m. This is the expression for kinetic energy of the ion before reaching the target. it hits the target with this energy q square b square r square upon 2m, where q is the charge of the ion, b is the applied magnetic field, r is the last radius of the circle, m is the mass of the ion. Now lastly, you have to study what are the limitations of this cyclotron. See, continuously cyclotron, this charged particle goes on taking the spiral path. At every step it is accelerated. The frequency of revolution of this ion is given by equation 6. Then according to Einstein theory of relativity, if a charged particle is continuously accelerated, then its mass goes on changing. So that change in the mass while it is in motion is given by m is equal to m naught into square root of 1 minus v square by c square. So our m0 is the rest mass of the ionic charge, v is the velocity with which it is moving, and c is the velocity of the light. If you substitute this change in the mass in equation 6, the relate frequency of revolution of the charged particle ion is given by, it is square root of 1 minus v square by c square divided by 2 pi m naught. So call this equation as 7. So according to equation 7, if v goes on increasing, our aim is to increase the velocity of the ion, n decreases. If you go on increasing the velocity of the ion by this cyclotron, frequency of rotation of that charged particle goes on decreasing. Then a stage is, that means continuously this ion lags behind while describing this semicircle. The stage is reached, further that ion cannot be accelerated. Therefore, how to solve this? So, as v increases, this n increases, we have to keep this constant, that is 1 minus v square by c square. V into 1 minus v square by c square should be kept constant. That means as v increases, this v should also increases. If it is kept constant, frequency remains constant. Then another way is, we have to change the applied voltage of the radio frequency oscillator continuously. That should match the frequency of the revolution of this charged particle. This is the main drawback of this cyclotron.